We're preparing the ingredients for the sauerkraut, which means in the beginning you peel a potato, you clean some onions off the skin, because the onions are the first thing. There's a little bit of fat going into the pot. Here's my bacon.
That's a huge piece of bacon.
Yeah, take about that much and cut it in cubes.
So you're throwing the fat in too?
Yeah, the fat and the onions. That's the first thing, is what you start. Many times it pops up. You have to watch it a little bit. A lot of people don't like the caraway seed.
Including both.
So that's why we grind it. Oh, nice smell.
I love caraway seed. That smells great.
Me too. I know why the people don't like
Bunch
it.
of sickies.
Yeah, you.
Sick.
You're the problem. You don't like the caraway seeds.
I don't. Okay. See you later.
See ya.
So we need some other products. Take 4 of them. Bacon. Three. And I always put Wacholderbeeren.
We'll have to put the translations at the bottom.
Yeah, you put
I'm not sure about the English words on these things.
They have to be crushed as well. Now we need water.
Smells lovely.
Now we have the base.
So in here we have the bacon and the onions.
Yeah. Now comes the sauerkraut from the can.
There it is. Wow, 1 can is a lot. Now that's a potato, right?
That's a potato. In order to make it more creamy and give the whole thing a little bit of body, you put a potato in.
And this is a well mushed potato.
Yeah.
A raw mushed potato.
The rest of the little potato you chop up. So, because you don't want to eat the potatoes, you want to eat the sauerkraut. And get the whole stuff with the sauce right in.
The ground caraway seeds. Wow, that's all we get.
Oh, it's a lot of waste with it, but you know, because of the people want to chew it. So now I take my Wacholder berries and squeeze them only a little bit. And in they go. Now comes my 4 Gewürzkörner berries and -3 Nelken, I don't know what it is. Then I have always a nice little cute thing for the nutmeg. And there's always a little bit of nutmeg coming into my sauerkraut. Put it back in and you always have it ready. So, now we continue. That's not too good for the figure, but it doesn't matter. A little bit of sugar. Naturally there will be some salt. And some ground pepper. Pepper could be a little bit more. It's for good taste. So. And don't forget the leaves. Lorbeer.
Aha, then we'll look it up. Lorbeer leaves.
Lorbeer. One thing more. I always have some leftover fat, which is Schmalz from a goose.
Okay.
And you put a little bit in there. Always rounds up the taste.
Goose fat.
Yeah. So that's all the ingredients for the sauerkraut. And now I will cut my meat and it will simmer away with the sauerkraut for about 3-4 hours, and then it has to stay overnight, and tomorrow you have a lovely meal. The history of sauerkraut? I think the history would be something like they had that kraut and they put it in a barrel to save it for later on, and then they left it, and by the time they found out the longer it stays, the more it tastes. And they came to the automatically to the sauerkraut.
So it was probably an accident. They just thought they would put it away,
Yeah.
and then they found it again. And
That's a nice piece of meat now. It goes right in the middle, yeah.
oh, one big chunk.
One big chunk.
Wow.
And here we have some small stuff, which I cut, and later on it could be taken out if people don't like to have it in the sauerkraut. But always gives a nice taste to the
So that's the bone.
That's
In
the
goes
bones
the bone.
go in as well. And here we have another piece, which we cut just roughly. Now, what you mustn't forget is sauerkraut needs onions.
And do you leave these onions in later, or you take them out?
No, leave them in.
You leave them
You don't see them anymore.
in. Okay.
They're more likely gone by the time the whole thing is cooked through.
Okay.
And you see, when you mentioned like that one can, if that is you would like to buy maybe 2 cans. I said it's enough. Look at it now, how much you have here in the pot.
Yeah,
the
that's a
pot is
huge pot.
filled up now. Everything in there, and so when you serve it with some potatoes later on, it will be very tasty.
It smells wonderful.
So, put the lid on, put more down, and that's it for today. Until tomorrow, when you open it up again after it has simmered and you stir it sometimes around, it will be very tasty.